Welcome back to the channel. We are going to put the turbo stuff back on. The RSX is up and running. As you seen in my last video with the TPS video, it's running. So we're going to go ahead and throw everything back on and do a video on how to show you guys how I put everything, how I set up everything, where I clocked everything, and blah blah blah. So enjoy, and hopefully this helps you guys out. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a little bit first before I start putting all the stuff on. All my turbo stuff is down here. So yeah, so I'll pick up here in about 10 minutes as soon as I get all this shit picked up. It's gotta be organized. Can't be fucking around, messing around with all this shit when I'm trying to put this kit on. So let's jump into this bad boy. Got it cleaned up enough. So the first thing I'm gonna go ahead and install. Let's see, where are we gonna start here? Either gonna start with that thing. Intercooler. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and mount the intercooler. I'll show you guys my mounts, where I put them and everything like that, and then we'll move up to the exhaust manifold, putting that on, and then when I get done with the intercooler, I'll show you where I clocked my wastegate and all that stuff, and then show you everything else coming down. So let's go ahead and mount this intercooler. So my first bracket that goes on the passenger side, as you can see, it's right here. I went ahead and went to, it's a little thin, I might go thicker later, but right now, I mean, when I put it on, it's pretty sturdy. Anyways, I went and bought a piece of this metal from, I think it was Home Depot. But anyways, get a piece of this metal, lined up the holes right here to where these are going to go. These are 14 millimeters that I used for in here, and those are going to go right there. And then if you look in here, see, as you can see, I put two holes with nuts and bolts, and let me see if I can get in there. And if you look in there, they are right there. So that's holding the passenger side. Driver side, did the same thing. Went bought a T-brace, a big thick T-brace, and cut it down to size with the grinder, and 14 millimeters here. And then went with the T, as you see, in the bend, and then one hole here, which I have mounted right here on my horn. I'll take my horn off, and then that will be the mount for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount this intercooler, and then show you guys how sturdy it is. If you are keeping your front crash bar, you do have to notch it. Let me get this out of the way real quick. So yeah, you do have to notch it. As you can see, it's notched here, it's notched there. This whole top piece was notched out, and then as you can see down here, the whole bottom piece was notched out. You just gotta fuck with it and find where you need to notch, because you know, everybody's might be different, but that's where I notched it. I actually probably gotta notch a little bit over here for the intercooler. For this one right here, it rubs a little bit, but we'll see. So yeah, so you definitely gotta notch your crossbar or crash bar out. You can also, like, technically I can eliminate this because of where my mount points are at. I really don't need this, but I run all my tuck wire or tuck harness, whatever stuff, in here, and it straps up in here, so that's why I'm gonna keep it for now. Maybe later I can reroute something, but for now I'm keeping the crash bar, and that's where you gotta notch it. But you can eliminate this with these mount points where they're at, and it'll be fine, it'll be sturdy. Anyways, moving on. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up, and that'll be that. For these 14s, I had 14s laying around. I basically cut to length I needed. I used 2 washers on this side because this hole is not that deep, so these 2 washers give it enough room to where it can go in and be snug and tight. Like I said, I took some 14s that I had laying around and cut them to the size that I needed, and then put some washers on it, and it holds nice and snug. This side, I didn't have to. I just used regular 14s. No washers on this. Or do I? Nope, no washers on this. So I use those 14s right there. Didn't have to cut it or nothing. I might have had to cut them a little bit. So yeah, I had to cut these ones too. But just cut them down to the size you need, and they work fine. So I'll go ahead and mount this. Another thing I wanted to say was, I think right here, as you can see, I got a little bit of rubbing going on. It's because of this screw right here. I did, when I put this intercooler on, I did have to notch this out a little bit, and it don't rub no more. I used to rub right there, but it don't rub no more. I think it was right there. Anyways, but this rubs. This is the AC line. Rubs a little bit right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some tape on this, some electrical tape, to keep it as a little buffer so it don't scratch this all up. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, I could push the mount out a little bit more and it would clear it. But anyways, that's the only issue I have with rubbing, is on this AC line. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and mount this bad boy on now. I just wanted to touch on those little points. So I'll go ahead and, don't want to put tape on this side because of course it's got to breathe. So I'll just go ahead and wrap this up with some tape just to give it a little bit more protection from rubbing. All right, so there you go. I couldn't find my electrical tape, so I went ahead and used felt tape. You can use whatever kind of tape. So that should keep it from rubbing. Of course, I'll check it over time and make sure it ain't metal on metal. But that will work for now. Time to mount this bad boy on. Intercooler's mounted. Like I said, right here where I taped it up is the only place that rubs, as you can see down there. So that'll hopefully put some protection on it. None of this is rubbing. I know. Well, yeah, I got a little bit of rubbing going on this tube right here, but when I get the intercooler piping set up, it will go ahead and hopefully push it away. No rubbing up here, as you see. Slide my arm. No rubbing in here. I don't want to slide too much, cut my damn hand off. No rubbing there. So yeah, no rubbing right there. Clears pretty perfect. So yeah, that's how I mounted mine. So gives you guys an idea. Of course, you can make it more better to your standards. Damn, look, I'll be scratching the shit out of it off and on, taking this fucker off and on. Oh well, repaint it later. I'm just looking to get this bitch started. Okay, intercooler's on, so we're gonna go ahead and run, get the intake or exhaust manifold and go ahead and set that in. All right, so exhaust manifold, wastegate. So this is the wastegate that came with the Humble Performance kit. It is a knockoff tile. So I don't know the rating of the springs that came with it. You gotta reach out to Humble or do your own research. I eliminated that and just went and bought some tile springs. Okay, that's what I did. Make me less of a headache trying to figure shit out. This right now is a 10-pound spring in here. It's a 10-pound spring. I am running a Boost by damn, I can't think, sorry guys. Running Boost by gear. So the line that's coming in on the top is going to give it to where I can go up to 20 pounds, which I'm not going to go up to 20 pounds. I think we're looking at anywhere from 14 to 16 pounds, what the tuner said. So 10 pounds is good. With the double pressure coming on and pushing on the diaphragm, it gives you about 20 pounds. So I'm good with the 10-pound spring. This is where I clocked. I'll go ahead and flip it like this. This is where I clocked my wastegate that worked for the dump tube. As you can see, I have my one line right here. Let's see if I can do this without dropping it. I got my one line right here, and then I got my other line down there. And that's where my wastegate is clocked. Okay, come around this side, I'll show you. So that's where I clocked my wastegate. It works pretty good for the dump tube to dump right past the back part of the subframe. So that worked out the best for me. Okay. Of course, go ahead and mess with it and find out what best works for you. But that's what works for me for clocking my wastegate for my dump tube to dump right past the subframe, the back part of the subframe. Okay. So with that, got the dump tube right here. Shit. So of course you'll have the clamp, and then when the dump tube's hooked up, oh, I got shit everywhere still. When the dump tube's hooked up, it'll be hooked up somewhat like that, and that will go roughly to where your back of your subframe is. Okay, that's where I have mine routed. I will go ahead and put that on last. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this wastegate is tightened. There's a couple. I will link a video down below of how to put the wastegate together. There's a guy that does a video that's pretty good. That's where I got my info. Just always make sure when you put your wastegate on to have your fire ring put on the right way, or put on at least. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me see. So yeah, so I went ahead and plugged all the holes that I wasn't using. I'm only using the top one, and well, they consider that one right there to be top and that to be bottom. So those are the two I'm using. I went ahead and plugged that one right there. You'll have to figure out your route on where you're running, and then you'll see all these other holes. You don't have to do anything with them. I think they're for the coolant. If you want to run coolant to your, oh wait, no, my bad. Yeah, coolant. Oh, I don't actually know. I don't know what they are, so don't quote me on that. All I know is you don't have to use them. So I think it aspirates the air. But anyways, so that's where I got it. So we'll go ahead and throw this bad boy on. Put the fucking gasket on, of course. Gasket's on here. And we'll go ahead and throw this on. My advice is, if you're doing this alone like I am, you're going to want to go ahead and put your wastegate on first and get it clocked to where you think it's going to be. See, as you see, I even marked it. Because with this on and then trying to get this Allen key and this nut, it's a pain in the ass. But if you have another guy with you, it's a lot more easier. But I'm by myself, so I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, it's already clocked where I need it to be. I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten it up. But if you're by yourself, go ahead and throw this on first. Go ahead and put your fittings on first. I will touch up on the fittings that I'm using along with the boost control, the lines I used, but I'll touch on that in a minute. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up. And like I said, if you have one by yourself, go ahead and put the wastegate on kind of where you think it's going to be, and then it'll be a lot more easier for you if you're by yourself. If you have another person, it'll be easier. All right, I'll go ahead and touch on these wastegate lines. I was running this poly line at first. These are going to your hot side, your blow off out, or not blow off, god damn it, your wastegate. So I upgraded them and made them more heavier duty, so that, because after time these will get heat and they'll be brittle. These will last a little bit longer. I will try to leave a description of a lot of this stuff below. Go back to my previous video on what everything you need, and there will be a lot of other stuff there you can use. But in the link in the description below, I will go ahead and leave the stuff that I use for this. It's basic hoses. I bought clamps for here. Running over here, these are 4AN lines or fittings. So this, I think, is a 4AN line. Oh, excuse me. So got these on Amazon. I think I think they're 4AN lines. Yeah, they are. And then these are 4AN fittings. Okay. These basically push into the hose, and then these will thread onto your wastegate, or your wastegate. So these are, let me get this right. These are 1/8 MPT fittings with the 4AN connector. Okay, so 1/8 MPT to 4AN. Okay, and then these will of course be your 4AN fittings. I will go ahead and drop a link in the description of where I got these, and that's where I'm going with the wastegate lines. And then all my other lines will be these, because it's good enough. And this is a Speed Factory 4-port boost controller. I'm running this because I am running boost by gear. Most of you guys might just go off a 3-port or a manual, whatever, or you guys just might run off the wastegate spring. You guys will have to go in and do your research on that. I know that the 3-port is basically the same idea. You got one in and one out, but yeah, it almost runs the same as the 4-port, but you have one less line. And this, like I said, I'm using this for boost by gear. Anyways, moving on. And then of course you got your wiring, which I will touch later on where to pin these at. All right, moving on. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this onto the motor. So I am running, well, I gotta take that fucking header off, but I am running I think it's Speed Factory's titanium hardware for the exhaust manifold. So made it pretty easy just to screw those in and put those on. Anyways, so that's what I'm running on the back side of the exhaust for hardware. Shit, let me go ahead and take this off, and then we'll go ahead and mount the exhaust manifold for the turbo. Exhaust manifold is on. Dude, we got some crazy weather right now. Oh fuck. This shit. Probably gonna have a fucking tornado. We didn't get tornadoes in California, but we're probably gonna get one, dude. This shit's crazy. Thunder and lightning's fucking off the hook. Look at that. Ooh, yeah. Damn, get under. Anyways, exhaust manifold's on. I apologize for the noise. Horrible day to film, but I need to get this shit done. So it's on. Make sure you put your exhaust manifold gasket on. Make sure you put your gaskets on for your turbo. Alright, moving on. Wastegate's on, clocked where I need to be, tightened up. As you can see, I have one line right here facing this way, and my other line here. Yeah, sorry about the noise, guys. This fucking weather is fucking nuts. I'm about to take a minute to just chill. Yeah, we don't get tornadoes in California, but I think we're gonna have one today. Holy shit, it's fucking pouring. I might conclude this video for now and pick up later because it's fucking pouring like a motherfucker. Oh shit. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop, take a break. Hopefully this shit clears up, and then I'll come back down and continue this video. God damn, it's fucking pouring. Actually, I gotta sit under here until fucking it quits raining so much so I can make it up to the house. Damn, I wish I had a garage or a shop. But yeah, I'm gonna stop for a minute and come back later. Shit, like a flash flood. Damn. I'm stuck under the tarp and I gotta run up there. Fuck all that. Oh man, it's fucking bad. Oh shit. Alright, now the flash flood's over. As you can see, we're fucking flooded, so I am done today. I'm done today. Next time this video picks up, we will move on to the next step. Exhaust manifold's on. So yeah, maybe it's a sign from the gods or some shit, who knows. Anyways, I'll pick up what I can pick up on this video and we'll continue. Let's see what it looks like outside right now. Jesus Christ. And let there be light. But I'd keep going. It's fucking flooded. So next time this video picks up, we'll be moving on. Back at it. Weather cleared up. Still soggy as fuck. So yeah, so this thing is not going to put itself back together, so I got to keep going. Be a little soaked down there, but luckily most of the stuff we're doing is on top and not much on the bottom, so let's go ahead and keep jumping into this. Got to get this bad boy running. Let's do this. My shit kicker's on. Fucking boots with shorts. So yeah. Alright, let's get into this. No more fucking around. Like I said, exhaust manifold is on. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up all the bolts back here, and then we'll move on to the turbo. And then from there, we'll start working out the piping. Yeah, I gotta move this brake booster line back over here too. So let's go ahead and do that. Those bolts are tightened, so let's go ahead and move on to the turbo. You're gonna go ahead and install your feed line fitting, and you're gonna go ahead and install your oil drain fitting right there. And then you're gonna have to clock your turbo where it needs to go. I'll show you when I put this on, where I'm gonna clock it, and maybe that'll help you guys get pretty close. Like I said in the previous video of parts to buy, got to put that on too. So yep, let's go. And then for these are water cooled lines that go in here to water cool your turbo. If you're running that route, you got to go ahead and do the research on that. If not, just leave them open, they'll be fine. I think there's 2 of them. So yeah, so if you're water cooling your turbo, that's where you'll put your fittings in. Okay, so like I said, I already have my turbo clocked where I need to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in right now. All right, turbo's right there. That's where I have it clocked at, because this pipe will come right here and then drop down here and then drop down there. So this is where I have it clocked out. As you guys can tell, some people's setups might be different. I have the stock location for the fuse box, but if you have the stock location for the fuse box, right here is a good mounting point. Basically the pipe will come down. Once I install it, you'll see, and I'll show you where it all clears up. So yeah, so you're just going to go ahead and put those nuts on and tighten those up, which I got to do. When you're clocking your turbo, you want to make sure, let's see if I can get a good video of it. You want to make sure right down there your feed or your oil return is pointed down, okay? That way it drops down and it doesn't build up and builds up oil back up to the hot side, because then you'll mess up your seals. So that's why I have it clocked. Like I said, you're gonna have to clock your stuff and make sure that that drain plug is pointed down as possible to where you can run the feed line, or I mean the oil return line. So yeah, that's just the one thing when you're clocking your turbo, you need to make sure that that oil return line is pointed down as good as possible. When clocking the turbo, you're going to go ahead and loosen these bolts up, and then you'll have these clamps right here, and you'll be able to spin the cold side, and then you can even loosen up these, and you can spin your hot, or not spin your hot side, but this whole journal in the middle will spin. This piece in the middle will spin to where you can get that oil return line to rotate down. So yeah, so that's what you're looking to do, is get that oil return line pointed down as much as possible as you can. So on that, I'll go ahead and tighten these up. Get your turbo clocked where you need to get it clocked, and then we'll go ahead and work on, let me see what I'll do next. I'll probably go ahead and hook up the lines with the boost controller after I tighten those up real quick, and then that'll be done with those lines, with the lines coming off the wastegate. At least we'll do the wastegate lines. All right, so before you put the turbo on, I'm gonna have to take it off again. You're gonna want to go ahead and connect that feed line down there first. You'll have access to tighten it down there better if this is off. So go ahead and put the return line on and tighten it up as you can. The feed line, you can go ahead and tighten it up from here when the turbo's on, but it's a pain in the ass to tighten that under here. So you're gonna want to have to pull this off, tighten up your return line, your oil return line, and then put the turbo on. On the oil return line, of course, you're gonna want to get that bung welded on the oil pan, and that's where your line will run. And then I will go ahead, and it's already hooked up down there. My bung's already welded to the oil pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this oil return line right through here and hook it up on the bottom. All right, so once I run that up and hook it up, I will go ahead and show you where I route that. Like I said, go ahead and pull this off so you can give access to tighten up your feed line. I went ahead and wrapped it with some heat wrap because it's sitting kind of close to this wastegate. Then go ahead and tighten it up. As you can see where it's routed, it's right below this fitting right here. And if you look, it goes right down there and into the bottom of the oil pan. So yeah, that's how you're gonna route it. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this back up here, and then I will show you the angle that the oil return line is at, so we'll give you guys an idea of what this should look like. Yeah, so let's do that real quick. So right there, you can see it right down there. Let me get a better view on this side. All right, let me see if I can do this. So right there, as you can see, let me get it. Right there is where that's the best angle I can get for it to drop. And the reason for that is because if you look right here, you have the transmission. The transmission housing goes right there, and then you got the rear motor mount bracket right there. So that's the best slope you can get to go. You pretty much can't get it to go any more down. So that's where I found to be the best at the angle for the return. So I pretty much can't get it to go no more down, so that's where it's going to be, and it should be fine to return that way. Before I had it way up here, way higher, at a way higher angle, and it dropped down lower. So anyways, so that's where I feel comfortable putting it, at that angle. So it should be good. Should be nice and good to return back to the oil pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up, and then we'll move on. Oh, I'll go ahead and tighten these up, and then I will go ahead and address the feed line. Okay, let me go ahead and tighten these up real quick. All right, so those are tightened, so let's go ahead and jump into the feed line. So after you put that feed line on, we'll go ahead and grab the line that comes with the kit, if you bought the killer combo kit. If not, then of course you'll have to get your line. Let me measure it for you guys. This line is about 3 feet long, braided line, 4 AN fittings on both sides. I got a 90 on this side and a straight on this side. The 90 I will go ahead and put right there so that it comes up and goes that way and then drops down, and then we'll tap it into the sandwich plate in the back. Once you got that nice and snug, you can go ahead and run it this way. What I'm eventually gonna do, there is a, let me find it. There's a hole right here. I think it's a 10 millimeter, might be a 12. I could put one of those little C rubber clamps on, and I could basically clamp it like that. That way the line stays away from as much heat as possible. And then I will go ahead and go underneath and hook it up to the sandwich plate, and I'll show you guys that too. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe put a clamp right there on that bolt hole right there, and that'll keep everything nice and snug. All right, so moving down. I don't got much room under here. Oh shit, that's my feed or my return. Yes, it looks like shit, but it kept it from leaking, so that's what I had to do. So moving up, you got your feed line right here. You got your sandwich plate right there. Sandwich plate is pretty straightforward to put on. So if you bought the kit, go ahead and put your sandwich plate on. Mine has 2 fittings on the bottom and 1 on the side. This, let me see, it's a lot of room down here. This one right here on the side is the one I'm using. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that plug out, and then you're gonna use a fitting like this, which I think it is a, fuck, I don't know what size it is, but it's a 4 AN fitting. You need one of these to put into one of those holes to the sandwich plate so that you could put the 4 AN feed line on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that plug out and hook up that fitting, and then tighten this back up. I'm gonna go ahead and put some sealant on probably both ends, that way I can not have any leaks. So yeah, because this is under pressure, so you kind of want to seal it up a little bit. You use Teflon tape, you can use liquid Teflon, you can even use some Honda Bond. But yeah, go ahead and put some on both sides, and then just tap it in there, and that takes care of your feed. Like I said, don't bash me on my oil return line fitting, but it works and it don't leak no more, so whatever. Once you got your feed line, I had to change it up. I went with the 90 down there and the straight up here, and I'll let you know in a minute why. But you can still go with the 90 up here and the straight down there, but I'll let you know why. So I got that hooked up and tightened. As you can see, it runs right down there. Okay, let me go jump under the car and show you the bottom. All right, so as you can see, the 90 is right there. And yes, it does clear the axle, clears it by about that much. So, and the reason I had to go that route, normally I would go off the side of the sandwich plate on the other side, but that bolt got fucking stripped, so I had to reroute it down here. But it works down here too. You can run it this way too. So, but normally you'd run it on this side of this side of the sandwich plate where the bolt is. But that works, it clears, and it's not a bad position actually. So that's hooked up, that's your feed line. I ain't gonna lie, I fucking struggled with that motherfucker too. It was stripped from when I put the plug in it. But anyways, it's done. The feed line is done. The return line is done. Everything clears out pretty good under there. So moving on, we will move on to let's go ahead and we'll hook up the boost control, and the lines that run to the fuel pressure regulator, the boost brake line, and all that shit that's down here. So we'll go ahead and run into lines right now, and the boost control and the vacuum block. The thing is, if you're running a oil pressure sensor and you're not running straight off the block and you want to run it off the sandwich plate, then yeah, you'll have to run your feed line like where I had it, and you'll run your oil pressure sensor off the side of it, because there's the bottom parts. This let me think. This sandwich plate you can also clock to. You can clock it to where you need it to go. So either way, if you're running the oil pressure, whatever, you can clock it to where you need it to go, and all your lines will be great. Anyways, so but I run the oil pressure line off the block and not off the oil, off the sandwich plate. My oil pressure, I think it's a PLM somewhere down there, but yeah, it's down there. All right, moving on. So let's jump into vacuum block and lines. So I already got my lines routed on the boost controller. So if you're running a 4-port boost controller, you got the bottom line, top line, and then this is aspirate to air, whatever. Okay, this is my vacuum block. What I'm running on my vacuum block is coming from the brake booster into the vacuum block. This is my blow-off valve line. This is my boost gauge sensor. This is for my fuel pressure regulator, and I cap the rest of them. And then the other line will go into the top of the intake manifold. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hook that up real quick, and then we'll come back to the boost controller. So that's basically, oh, let me stop real quick. I run mine off the brake booster, comes around here, comes to the vacuum block. In the vacuum block, as you can see, I have the rivets, bolt rivets, they're screwed in there so I can take it off and on if I need to, and it basically sits right there. And then my other line will come up and into the top of the RBC. Now there's several ways you can run. You can run all your vacuum off the bottom of your intake manifold. I know your skunk 2s have ports for them. If you're running an RBC or whatever, you have to go ahead and tap and drill for 1/8 MPTs. A lot of people run their vacuum lines off the intake manifold. I think it's better, but this works as far as I know. I mean, it worked for a day and a half when I was running. But yeah, so that's how I run mine. Of course, resource on how you want to run your vacuum stuff. That's how I'm doing mine. Okay, so I'll go ahead and button this all up, and then we'll work on the 4-port. So I got everything tightened up, ran like I want it to go. Right down there is the vacuum block, and then coming on up to the top of the RBC. So that's all tightened up. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my boost gauge for the inside. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and run this line, which right here is my 3rd one. This is for my fuel pressure regulator, so I'll go ahead and route that line. It basically comes straight off, goes underneath the intake manifold, comes up about, I have it come up and tuck in between there so it's kind of hidden, and then pops out here and then runs along to the side of the fuel pressure regulator. This is a 1/8 MPT. Look back on my other video on what fitting this is. This is a little bit smaller fitting on this. Oh, this ain't a 1/8. This is actually a, I don't know, go back and look at my video. It's a different, it's not a 1/8, it's smaller. But anyways, this is a 1/8 hose line right here on this side though. So that's where I'm gonna run my fuel pressure regulator line, and I will go ahead and run it off of that. All right, so fuel pressure regulator line is run right here, comes this way, goes that way under the intake manifold, comes out and connects to the vacuum block. Of course, it's gonna differ from where you guys mount your fuel pressure regulators. Some people mount them there, some people mount them there, some people mount them over here. Wherever you mount yours, that's where you're gonna route your thing. All right, moving on to the 4-port boost controller. Like I said before, these are 4AN lines with 4AN fittings. I upgraded these lines to bigger and better, and not these ones, because this is on the hot side of the wastegate, and this stuff, from what I heard, you know, eventually it gets hot and, you know, messes it all up. So upgraded those. You can find all this stuff on Amazon. Like I said, look in the link in the description. I will have all this stuff on there. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. So I mount my boost controller right here by the fuse box. Let me see if I can get under here. Anyways, right there, there's a bolt hole right there. I just run a bolt and a lock washers and a nut through there, and that's where I hook up my boost controller. You want to keep them somewhat away from heat. It's pretty much good probably away from the heat. Where you mount your boost controller is totally up to you, and of course it's gonna depend on your length of your lines you're gonna do. So yeah, where'd I put that thing? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mount the boost controller, and I'll show you guys where I put it. So there it is. It is mounted right there. Now for the lines. So this you got these two lines on this side, top one, bottom one. The top one is going to run to the it's hard to see in here, to the top of the wastegate. So this line right here that's poking out the top, well technically bottom, but whatever, we'll say bottom, that's where that line's gonna go. Now the bottom one, this bottom line right here, is gonna go to the side of the wastegate, which is this line right here off the side of your wastegate. Okay, this is for 4-port. And then of course you got your line coming into your port that's going to hook up to your, oh yeah, my bad, line that's coming from 4-port is going to hook up into your turbo housing. So housing into the one side bottom, top goes into the bottom of the wastegate, and the bottom line right here is going to go into the side of the wastegate. Sorry about the wind noise. So that's how you're going to do it. Lines are all set up. I ran them underneath the shifter cable right here. Of course I'll put a, goddamn wind, I'm sorry guys, I'll put a zip tie to make sure they don't rub against the shifter cable. Running up right there, and as you can see it's connected to there and connected to the side somewhere right there, or the bottom and then the side. So everything's good on that. All right, so let's move on to the wiring for the boost controller. For 3-port, 4-port, it's the same concept for the wiring into the ECU, so I'll go ahead and show you guys that. I did have a video on it. I did have a video on hooking up the boost solenoid, and I deleted it because it misinformed. So now that I actually got it done the right way, I will go ahead and show you now on how to hook up the boost solenoid to the power and the ECU. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into that. All right, so your boost solenoid, you're gonna have 2 wires coming off your boost solenoid. You're gonna go ahead and butt connect and extend some more wires, because you're gonna need quite a bit to go around your firewall and back inside where the ECU is. So you just want to get 2 wires going. And you're going to route them however you want, and then I will show you which wire goes where. So there is a hole right, I can't even fucking see it, somewhere down there. There's a hole where the grommet, where your main harness runs out of. Go ahead and tape your wires to a long screwdriver and then poke it through and grab it on the inside. All right, wires fed through, so let's go ahead and hook up the 2 wires where they go. Alright, so you're looking for pin out B21. The B connector, you're going to have A, B, and then C. So you're looking for this connector right here. Go ahead and pull that out. So once you pull that out, of course it's going to be the smaller one of the 2. You're going to go ahead and flip it to where you see the wire side. And you're going to have 3 slots on the bottom right here, and then 5 on this bottom right here. Okay, so 3 and then 5. So if you're looking at the clip, this side, you're gonna flip it over, look at the back of the wires, you have 3 and 5. Okay, now on the stock RSX harness, the B21 wire is going to be, let me double check, I'm running a K-tune tuck harness, but on your, if you're running a stock OEM harness, you're gonna look for a blue God damn it, I forgot what color. Let me check real quick. I think it's blue yellow. It's gonna be a yellow blue wire, and it's gonna, you count from this way, from the left side over. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's gonna be your 5th hole. Of course, I don't have it on the K-Tune tuck wire harness, but like I said, if you're running the OEM, which I will show you in a minute, I got an OEM harness, you will have a blue yellow. Okay, so anyways, you are going to tap, it doesn't matter which wire you tap in to when it comes to the solenoid, because the solenoid, it's got it doesn't matter which wire goes where. But like on mine, I had to actually take the blue yellow wire off my Stark harness with the pin and connect it to one of the wires so that I could pin it into this right here. Okay, but like I said, stock OEM engine harness from 05 to 06 or 02 to 04, whatever, is going to be a blue yellow. That's the one you're going to tap one of the wires into. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Okay, B connector, B21 is what you're looking for. Start from the left and go over. You're going to count over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and that's where your B21 is going to be. I will go ahead and pop a picture up right now to show you. So yeah, so there's the picture on the boost solenoid. And then your next wire is going to be a power source. Okay, on my previous video, I researched and somebody gave me wrong information on the internet, and they had me hooking it up to this one. Well, that was wrong. You need to actually have it hooked up to a power source, which I'll run it. I already have the wire hooked up. I think it's somewhere right here. This is my power source wire. I am running it over there where I run all my boost gauges and all that stuff. The power source I'm tapping in there, that's where I'm gonna go ahead and tap into for the boost control. Now it has to be a power source to where when you turn the key on, it powers on. You turn the key off, it powers off. It can't be a direct 12-volt power source. You can't have power coming to it the whole time. You gotta have like an ignition power source. Power on, it turns on. Power off, it turns off. So that's where the power source is. I will go ahead and show you where I put mine. I mean, if you go back and look at all my boost gauge videos, it shows you where I tapped into for my power source. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put one of those T-splicers in there and do the power source. Now to get this clamp off, you're gonna go ahead and, let me see, where's it at? Okay, right here, you're gonna go ahead and pop this little piece off. It just pops up a little bit. That gives you access to pop these pins out and slide pins in, but you definitely have to pop this up a little bit, get it loose before you can take out or put in any pins. And that's pretty much how you do it. One goes into the B21, the other one goes to a power source. That's how you run a boost solenoid. All right, moving on. So that should cover your vacuum lines. That should cover the turbo, the exhaust manifold, oil feed, oil return, and the boost solenoid, boost solenoid wiring and all that. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the piping, blow off valve, and hook all that up, and then we should pretty much there to almost start this bad boy up. So let's go ahead and jump into the piping. All right, so here's all the piping, some clamps. Now if you're running this part goes for the blow off valve into the intake manifold. If you're running an OEM throttle body, you can go ahead and run the couplers that come with the kit, the 2.5 inch to 2.5 inch. I'm running a Skunk 2, so I had to go from a 2.5 inch to a 3 inch. So keep that in mind, that you'll need an adapter coupler for if you're running a bigger throttle body than OEM. All right, so first one I'm gonna go ahead and hook up. I think I will run, let me see what I got here. I'm missing a pipe. Yeah, missing one pipe. All right, so you got this U-shaped pipe. You got the pipe where your blow off valve is gonna set up on, and you got kind of another U-shaped pipe that comes up to this 90. This one right here, I guess we can call this like an S, whatever. This pipe is gonna go onto the turbo part, okay? So we're gonna run it on the turbo part right here. I gotta figure out which way it goes because this has been on and off quite a bit. So let me go ahead and figure out how this goes, and then I'll jump back into it. So you'd think as many times as I took this shit off that I would know how the piping would go. No. I spent probably an hour and a half trying to figure out how this shit fucking runs again. So I got it all fixed up. I got it figured out. I'm just going to give you guys the quick rundown of the best way to run it. Yeah, that's the way that I run it, and it works. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. Again, I apologize for the wind noise. It's windy as fuck. I got this tarp up. But yeah, so let's get it. I'll show you. The first pipe you're going to want to hook up is the blow-off pipe one. It's got the blow-off valve on it. That is going to run down here, and it's going to be the bottom pipe. Okay, now you see why I taped it, because it rubs against here. So that's going to be your first pipe you install. Okay, and then you're going to come back and, okay, this is going to be the hard part, and then you're going to come back and hook this in. But the way you're going to want to do it is you're going to want to put this coupler on this end of the pipe first. Okay, and then you're going to want to, no wait, apologize, you're going to want to put this coupler, this end, on the turbo first. No, fuck, sorry, I'm confused. Okay, you're going to want to put the pipe in this coupler first, and then you're going to want to squeeze it onto the turbo, and then it runs down, and it is going to be the top one. Okay, so you're going to have a straight coupler, and it's going to run like this, and it's going to run down to the 90. Okay, and then the 90 is right here on top. You're going to run this piece like this, and then you're going to run another 90. Okay, blow off part, you're going to go this way, drop down, and you're going to have another 90 back there. I don't know if I can see it. You see it right there, 90 coupler right there, and it connects to the bottom pipe, goes here and connects into here. Okay, I found that the easiest way to do it is keep the clamps off, take the clamps all the way off, and then put them on after. Works a little bit better. So that's the way it should go. It should have one on top and one on bottom. As you see, I got a little bit more clearance, so I can push it up once I start tightening the clamps up. Then as you see, it sits kind of snug right here. As for this, there's no rubbing on here, on any parts right here. So yeah, so I mean, it's a pain in the ass. It's kind of tight for the most part, but go ahead and start with this one, and that'll be the blow-off pipe, and it'll be the bottom part. Do the bottom part first, and then the top one will be pretty easy. Okay, you're gonna have to fuck with it, but it'll get there. So yeah, like I said, blow off pipe, the ones that run the intake manifold is on the bottom, the one that runs the turbo's on top. If you do that, then you'll be all right. I've tried multiple ways on how to try to see how this ran, to see if it even ran through here. I couldn't figure out shit. This was the best route that I figured out how it goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these clamps on. Sorry, windy day. I'm gonna go ahead and pop all those clamps on, tighten them up real tight, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing. When you're putting your clamps on your couplers, go ahead and set your clamps up the best route you can to get to them, to access them, so you're not in there trying to do quarter-inch turns on the clamps. But anyways, so yeah, like I said, I spent probably about an hour and a half trying to figure out which way, how it ran again. But that's the only way that I figured out on how it runs. If you guys figure out a different way, then fuck, let me know, because that's the best route I found that it works. All in all, maybe later on down the road, the pipe that comes off the turbo, I will probably eventually have something fabricated to drop into that little hole right by the light, and it'll just be a much better fit. No rubbing and shit like that. But for now, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and put those clamps on right now, and then I will get back into the video and we'll do the next step. So all the clamps are tight. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the blow-off valve, and then I don't know after that. So let's go ahead and mount this blow-off valve. All right, on the piping that comes from the throttle body, don't mind the tape, but you do have to drill a hole. It's up to your discretion of where you want to put the hole for your intake air temperature sensor to put in. I have it right here. Don't mind the tape, but the hole's right there. I will explain here in a minute why I got this like this. But and you also do have to buy, you do also have to get this K-tune. This is for the IAT, the intake air temperature. Basically, you have to have this welded on, and then your intake air temperature will make a good seal in here so you get no leaks. The reason I have this tape on because I was running into an issue where the car wouldn't start. Is the reason why you see two map sensors. Don't ignore this one. This is just to plug this hole right here. Anyways, the reason my car wasn't starting was because, as you can see, this wire that is right there in the middle, the blue one, the wire that was in the harness wasn't getting the proper voltage, so I had to rig this up like so and tap it into the ECU to make sure that that was the bad wire, and it was. And the car starts and runs, as you can see towards the end of the video, is running good. So I will go ahead and address this later on, but the install video of all the turbo stuff had nothing to do with this map wire. It was a bad wire somewhere in the harness. Anywho, so yeah, so you do have to have this hole drilled. Better to get one of these, have this welded on, and it'll make a good proper seal. As you can see, there's an O-ring in there for your intake air temperature. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So for the blow off valve, this is a 1/8 MPT fitting to a quick fit or quick whatever. I'm kind of tired, you guys. Anyways, they came with 2 springs. I went ahead and left the spring that's in there. I know that one's stiff and one's softer, so I just left the one that was in there. Pretty self-explanatory. Just put it on. Hold on, take this clamp off. Let me see, hold on. Pretty straightforward. Put the clamp on, put the bolt in, line it up and tighten it up, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, so just pretty much made it up, tighten it up, and then go ahead and plug in your line. The line is from the vacuum block, and then you'll just stick it in there like so. That's it. Alright, so I think the next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and put the S-pipe on for the exhaust, which is right here. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this piece from this piece and put this piece on first, and then maybe put this piece on. We'll see if I can put it all in one shot. Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and use this clamp for this, and the part that's got the pie cuts is gonna be the top on the back side of the hot side of the turbo, and then that'll run. And then you're gonna go ahead and plug in your O2 sensor when you get that done. You're gonna have to separate it to get it going. As I said, you're gonna put this one where it has the pie cuts up on the hot side of the turbo. So there's the exhaust S-pipe hooked up. Has plenty of clearance right here and has plenty of clearance all around. So as you can see, when I go underneath to hook up the O2 sensor part of the pipe, I will go show you the clearance down there. So now I'll go ahead and hook up this dump tube now. So I'm gonna hook up the dump tube, but I lost the bolt. I can't find it right now, but I will go ahead and show you guys. I mean, it's pretty simple. Just put it on and clamp it. But I will show you where, kind of, if I can, give you an idea of where it sits on the car and where it dumps out. So let me see if I can do that real quick for you guys. I'll probably go ahead and start it up without the dump tube. It ain't gonna kill it. Alright, so as you can see, the dump tube dumps right past the subframe right there. Kind of, it follows the S tube for the exhaust. So that's where it's going to dump out at. Let me check this out real quick, hold on. Yeah, so it connects right there with the clamp. Of course, I got to find that bolt, and take my word for it, it's not rubbing on the exhaust manifold or nothing like that. So yeah, as soon as I can find that bolt or get another bolt, I'll put that on. But that's not going to stop me from starting it. I just won't be able to drive it around until I get that bolt. But so yeah, as you can see where it dumped out at. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, let me check. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this 2-bar map sensor out and put my 4-bar in for that, and then I will go ahead and jump underneath and hook up the downpipe and hook up the O2 sensor, and I think it'll be ready. But let me go ahead and do these 2 things, and then I'll figure out what's next after that. Alright, so as you can see, the downpipe is put on, O2 sensors on. As you can see, for clearance, I'm gonna have to definitely put this zip tied somewhere, maybe against his back motor mount frame, because it does touch a little bit, but not a lot. Just need to move it over a little bit. Other than that, let me see the feed line. Feed line looks good. It's not gonna touch nothing, so yeah, everything looks good. Let's see what's next. Alright, I think I'm about ready to fire it up. Of course, I gotta load up the map from the tuner. I'm gonna stop for a minute and double check everything and make sure I got everything hooked up, and then when I pick up back on this video, I'll go ahead and start up the video and load up the map and fire it up, hopefully. So yeah, let me go ahead and just do a double check and make sure I got everything done, and then we'll go from there. Alright, she's running. Alright, so that will conclude this video. That's how you hook up all the turbo stuff to the RSX, the humble performance kit. At least that's how I hook it up. Car's running good now. I did have a map sensor issue, and I got that all situated with the wire. There was a bad wire on it, so yeah, so that's, anyways, that's how you hook up all the, that's how I hooked up all my turbo stuff to it. Car's running good now. So hopefully this helped you guys out. Like, subscribe, enjoy, and KL Dan. I'll catch you guys on the next one.